Hello and welcome to Fit Labs presents How to Become Unstoppable with 4 functional activities. I have John and Gabby and they're going to put you through a workout. So let's begin. Alright, so our first exercise is Hindu push-ups. So that's a mixture of the inchworm and then the traditional Hindu push-up. John's going to demo that. So what he's going to do, he starts in the standing position, then he puts his hands down, and then he slowly walks out, and then he starts doing the Hindu push-up. He's going down, locking into extension, then he comes right back up, and then he walks his hands back. Then when he comes back down, he's making sure that he's keeping his spine neutral or in a static position the entire time. He's coming down with control, keeping the arms close to his body, locking out into extension, then he's rolling right back up. Now, it really depends on how experienced you are with this lift or this exercise, but it's very taxing on the shoulders and really the wrists if you're not used to this position. So he's going to go down, swoop down, hold in the static position where he goes into trunk extension, then he rolls right back up and slowly comes right back up into the standing position. So first you're going to start in the standing position. You're going to put your hands up. You're going to have your hands here to stabilize you, and you're going to slowly walk out almost like you're going to a plank. Then you're going to go down into the Hindu push-up, come out into the extension, and then reverse the action coming back up. It's important that you're having the hands in the same exact position every single time to make sure that you're tracking the right way. If one hand's out to the side, it's not going to be even and your body is going to weight shift in the wrong way. So she's going to go out, she's going to first curl up, and making sure the extension, and then come back down. And this is not an easy maneuver, and you can modify it accordingly. So if you're having trouble with it, she's going to start in the standing position, and then she's going to come back down, and as she's going down, she's going to see how she feels. If she can only go out so far and not go into the push-up, she's going to stay there into the plank, and then she's going to walk back up with her hands until you get comfortable, and then you add the dip with the Hindu push-up. So that's the first exercise, and that's called the Hindu push-up. So the next exercise that we're going to have is Bulgarian split squats that John's going to demo. So you start right in front of the box or in front of a chair that you have. You're going to put one leg up onto the box or chair. You're going to get into a good position that you can have balance, and then what you're going to be doing is doing a one-legged squat primarily. Now the main thing that he's going to be doing is keeping the weight in the heels just like his normal squats. He's keeping a neutral spine when he's doing this, and he's making sure that his knee does not go over the toes. So he's going to drop down, making sure that all of his weight is backwards into the posterior, and then he shoots right back up by putting his weight through the heels. Now this exercise is great for proprioception, that balance, but also it's great for his core because every time he's doing this, he's stabilizing every single time he goes into the squat. And that's how you do a Bulgarian split squat. Now if that maneuver or that exercise is too easy, you're going to do the same thing, only just going to use some weight. So he's going to put the kettlebell to his chest, he's going to get in the same exact position, he's going to keep his abs tight, especially because he's added the weight, and he's doing the same exact thing. But it's amazing just adding a few more pounds to this exercise, how much more stability he has to use. And that's how you make this exercise a little bit harder. Okay, so the next exercise that we're going to be doing is dips. And you can do this exercise with minimal amount of equipment, or if you have gymnastics rings, we're going to show you a modification with that as well. So the first one Gabby is about to do is dips using a box. So first she's in a seated position, she's going to bring her feet out to a comfortable position where she has control, and then she's going to be going down into the dip. When she does this, she's keeping everything stable. She's making sure that her arms aren't flaring out. She's doing it with control, and she's doing it with a controlled descent. So this exercise is more of an eccentric contraction in nature. She's making sure that it's fully controlled. When she comes up into the lift, she's locking out into extension. So that's how you do dips using a box. Now, we already demonstrated how you could do it using the box, but John's going to show you if you have gymnastics rings. So first, we're going to talk about how to even perform this. The first section is just locking in to extension of the elbows to make sure you can even do the dip. So the first part is jumping and locking into position. Now, if you're having trouble, you might have someone to even lock it for you, forcing your arms close to your body. The second part is when you're about to do the dip, you have to keep your arms close to your body and you're leaning forward into the dip. So he's gonna keep going down all the way. Right here, he's gonna keep everything close and then pushing out to the top of the position. Into the extension, he goes back down one more time, keeping everything close, and then he goes right back up into the starting position. And that's how you do dips with using gymnastics rings. So we have one last exercise, and that's called mountain climbers. Now this is made to get range of motion at your hips, but also to bring your cardiovascular system up. It's supposed to get your heart rate up, and this way when you put all the workouts together, you're gonna get a good burn. So what you're gonna do is first, you're gonna put both hands down into extension, and then when your elbows are into extension, you're bringing your knees to your elbows. So you're gonna be alternating, going back and forth. Now, when you're doing that, you're making sure that everything's in a neutral position, the spine. You're not gonna be doing a crowded coming up. She's going to be going back and forth, alternating with basically in a good rhythm. Now, if you notice, if you're looking at the hips, we notice that the crease is already being created. So if you're having trouble with the full range of motion of this activity, you just don't go as far. So Gabby, show that one more time. So she's not going all the way up to the elbow, and then you go until you're comfortable. To add this, basically you do a 3 count. So you do 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 2, and that's how you're gonna be counting the mountain climbers. So now that we just concluded with the exercises, now we're going to talk about another important part, and that is your nutrition. So we see that fitness, it takes up not just one area of your life, but all of it. So when we talk about the fitness, we're also going to talk about nutrition. Now, looking at nutrition, nutrition is the basis for everything else. We have nutrition, then we have gymnastics, weightlifting, and then we have the sport. So nutrition we see at the bottom, and without that, without having nutrition as key, everything else up the pyramid falls apart. Now why is that? Well, nutrition plays about 2/3 or 66% of the entire holistic approach to health and wellness. When you're trying to do gymnastics, weightlifting, or the sport, and your nutrition is off, we find that the athlete fatigues quicker, which means they can't produce their full potential in a game. As well as if you're looking for weightlifting or throwing exercises, we see that if you do not have nutrition, the athlete does not have enough ATP production on a micro level to produce that action. So what happens? Say for instance a football player, if he eats, say for instance a Big Mac or a pizza before he goes out, we see that when he tries to produce explosive movements, he fatigues and gets sick. Well, why is that? Well, after not having the right nutrition that supplies what you need in the bloodstream and through your cells, we see a breakdown on the micro level. For instance, have you ever tried to eat a lot of bread and then you go try to sprint? What happens? Well, your body just seems sluggish. So what would be the right way to do it? Well, if we have chia seeds, if we have quinoa, things that affect the body long term, we see that that's a lot better to supply the athlete to keep going through its sport. So we see nutrition is the backbone or the basis, our foundation for everything else in health and wellness. So the first portion that we just saw, the 4 exercises, those are very important to get in shape. Nutrition helps us sustain our life and sustain our energy throughout the day. So thank you very much for taking a look at our program, and we hope to see you next time.